Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is the 17th January 2025. In this video, I'm going to generate different supply demand zone reports useful to the premium subscribers. Before that, all of you please understand we are providing complete free training on supply demand zone price action. You might be knowing the cost of the training is over 8,000 US dollars and it is a complete free training. All the training videos are available at our NeoStock YouTube channel. At our channel homepage, you please click on the tab Posts. Some of you might be seeing the tab Community. Click on the tab. You get access to this post. This post is having a YouTube playlist link that will take you to all the training videos. You just click on the link. Now we are into supply demand zone price action course. Here you have all the training lessons are available. You should start your training from lesson 1.1. For that you should scroll down to the bottom of the page. Here starting from lesson 1.1, all the training lessons are placed in an order. So please go through all these videos one by one and strengthen your skills related to supply demand zone price action. I have also provided the link to our Telegram channel in this video description. So please join at our Telegram channel. It will be helpful to you. Each time when we release a new video or any other important updates, we will be providing at our Telegram channel. Now let's get into the report generation, supply demand zone report generation with the help of NeoStock Software Supply Demand Zone Top-Down Analysis Strategy Builder. Okay, first we will generate the stocks near demand and supply zones and also inside the demand and supply zones from daily time frame to yearly time frame to the daily time frame, and stocks near demand and supply zones for all the time frames. So let me start with yearly time frame. Price closed inside the yearly demand zone. We got 3 stocks. I am giving you only few seconds time to watch the report. I request you pause the video, study the report, and then you can proceed with the next reports. Okay, next yearly time frame. Price closed inside the yearly supply zone. We don't have any stocks. Next time frame is a half yearly. Stocks near half yearly demand zone. We got 2 stocks. Next half yearly time frame. Stocks near half yearly supply zone. We got 1 stock. Next half yearly time frame. Price closed inside the half yearly demand zone. We got 5 stocks. Next half yearly time frame. Price closed inside the half yearly supply zone. We got 2 stocks. HDFC Life is all-time low stock. It is having all-time low supply zone. It doesn't have any demand zones. Okay, next time frame is quarterly. Stocks near quarterly demand zone. We got 1 stock. Next quarterly time frame. Stocks near quarterly supply zone. We got 4 stocks. Next quarterly time frame. Price closed inside the quarterly demand zone. We got 28 stocks, and I'm showing, and now we are able to see first 21 stocks. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 28 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the quarterly demand zone. We can further reduce the list by adding high probability parameter EMA Confluence, quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. So let me add the filter EMA confluence at quarterly time frame by setting the filter quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. But when you are setting EMA confluence, the trend should not be sideways, because in sideways trend, EMA confluence does not give any additional advantage. So that is the reason why in the trend at quarterly time frame, I am selecting either up or down but ignoring sideways. See, we got 14 stocks. All these 14 quarterly demand zones are having quarterly EMA confluence, and also current price closed inside the quarterly demand zone. Okay, next quarterly time frame. Price closed inside the quarterly supply zone. We got 3 stocks. Okay, next time frame is monthly. Stocks near monthly demand zone. We got 5 stocks. Next monthly time frame. Stocks near monthly supply zone. We got 7 stocks. Next monthly time frame. Price closed inside the monthly demand zone. We got a big list. So total 44 stocks are filtered. You are able to see first 20 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 44 stocks are filtered. And we can reduce this list by adding the high probability parameter monthly EMA confluence to the monthly demand zones. Let me set the filter. In the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence. And when you set EMA confluence on monthly time frame, the monthly trend should not be sideways, it can be up or down. Then only EMA confluence is having effect. See, from 44 the list is come down to 21 stocks. These 21 monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA confluence and current price closed inside the monthly demand zone. Okay, next monthly time frame. Price closed inside the monthly supply zone. We got 10 stocks. Out of these 10, how many monthly supply zones are having monthly EMA confluence? Let us verify. So in the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly supply zone having monthly EMA confluence, and the trend on monthly time frame should not be sideways, it can be up or down. Let's filter. We got 4 stocks. So these 4 monthly supply zones are having monthly EMA confluence. Okay, this is about monthly time frame. Next time frame is weekly. And this is also end of the week. I will generate additional reports for weekly time frame, like zones having confluence and tested weekly zones and newly created weekly zones during this week. So all those additional reports I will generate. So first for weekly time frame, let's start with stocks near weekly demand zone. 5 stocks are filtered. Next, weekly time frame, stocks near weekly supply zone. We got 26 stocks. You are able to see first 15 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 26 are filtered near to the weekly demand zone. Because the list is big, if you want me to further filter based on EMA Confluence, I can do. Let me generate. In the EMA Confluence, weekly time frame, weekly supply zone having weekly EMA Confluence, and trend on weekly time frame should be up or down, but not sideways. Let's filter. See, now the list is come down to 13 stocks. All these stocks are near to the weekly supply zone, but these supply zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. That is the way we can understand this list. Okay. Next, weekly time frame. Price closed inside the weekly demand zone. We got a big list. So total 76 stocks are filtered. Out of 76, you are seeing first 16 stocks in the list. I scroll the list down. So total 76 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the weekly demand zone. We can further filter this list based on weekly demand zones having weekly EMA Confluence. Let me add the filter on the 76 stocks at weekly time frame, weekly demand zone having weekly EMA Confluence, and the trend on weekly time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. Let us filter. See, now the list is reduced to 22 stocks. So first 17 stocks in the list. Price closed inside the weekly demand zone, and these weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA Confluence. I am scrolling the list down. So total 22 stocks are filtered. Okay, next, weekly time frame. Price closed inside the weekly supply zone. We got 25 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. So total 25 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the weekly supply zone. We can further reduce this list by adding the high probability parameter weekly EMA Confluence having weekly for supply zones. So in the EMA Confluence at weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly supply zone having weekly EMA Confluence, and the trend on weekly time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. Let's filter. Now the list is come down to 13 stocks. All these 13 weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA Confluence, and also current price closed inside these weekly supply zones. Okay, this is about weekly price closed inside the weekly supply zone. Now we will generate additional weekly reports. So weekly time frame. Let us find the tested weekly demand zones during this week. Oh my God, very big list. 62 weekly demand zones are tested during this week. For your reference, I am scrolling the list down. Now we are seeing first 15 stocks. After testing, some of these stocks closed inside the weekly demand zone. Some of the stocks are started moving towards the supply zone. That is what you observed in the signal type column. Okay, now next let us look for a tested weekly supply zone, weekly time frame. Let us find the tested weekly supply zones. And these 10 stocks having supply zones are tested during this week. Okay, next we will find newly created weekly zones. For weekly time frame, let us find newly created weekly demand zones. The stocks having newly created weekly demand zones. So these 10 stocks are having newly created weekly demand zones. Okay, next, for weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having newly created weekly supply zones. These 10 stocks are having newly created weekly supply zones. Next, we will filter the stocks based on zone confluence, weekly zones, LTF, ITF and HTF zone confluence. That means weekly, monthly and quarterly zone confluence supported stocks. So entry time frame is weekly. In the demand zone confluence, first we will see demand zone, LTF, ITF, HTF. Let us assume weekly is the LTF. So weekly demand zone having a confluence with monthly demand zone. Weekly demand zone having confluence with quarterly demand zone. And also monthly demand zone having a confluence with quarterly demand zone. With all the three filters, we get LTF, ITF, HTF zone confluence. We got a big list. Even Nifty 50 is having a Pierce demand zone, weekly demand zone. Nifty Bank is also having demand zone. That is also Pierce. No, Nifty is not Pierce demand zone. Nifty Bank. Okay, I am scrolling the list down for your reference purpose. So total 41 stocks. In all these 41 stocks, these weekly demand zones are part of the monthly demand zone, both together again part of the quarterly demand zone. From this 41, we can further filter high probability based on weekly demand zones having a quarterly demand zone confluence. So quarterly demand zone with quarterly EMA confluence, let us filter. In the EMA confluence, quarterly. Why quarterly? Because weekly zone is part of the monthly, both together again part of the quarterly. That's why we are looking for quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. And trend should not be sideways. So that's why at quarterly time frame I am selecting up or down. Let's filter. Still we got a big list. 20 stocks are filtered. All these 20 stocks are having quarterly EMA confluence. And weekly zone and monthly zone together part of the quarterly zone. I am scrolling the list down. So total 20 stocks are filtered. Okay, this is about demand zone confluence. Next, supply zone confluence, weekly, monthly and quarterly supply zone confluence. For weekly, entry time frame is weekly. In the supply zone confluence, three filters we have to set. Weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence, weekly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence, and monthly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. With all the three filters enabled, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got 6 stocks. In these 6 stocks, these weekly supply zones are part of the monthly supply zone, both together again part of the quarterly supply zone. Now let's verify in the quarterly supply zone any quarterly EMA confluence for quarterly supply zone. So in the EMA confluence at quarterly time frame, I am setting the filter quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA confluence, and in the trend at quarterly time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. Let's filter. We got 2 stocks. So these 2 weekly supply zones are having a confluence with monthly, both together again having confluence with quarterly, and that quarterly supply zone is having quarterly EMA confluence. So this is the way we should understand these quarterly related zones. Next time frame is daily. Entry time frame daily. Let us find the stocks near daily demand zone. So 11 stocks are filtered. Out of these 11, how many daily demand zones are available? Let us identify. Abbott is having a daily demand zone. AU Bank is having a daily demand zone. Federal Bank, it is not valid. It is a pierced zone. That's it. We have 2 valid high liquidity daily demand zones. About India and AU Bank. Okay. Next, for daily time frame, let us find the stocks near daily supply zone. We got 10 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity daily supply zones from this list. IRCTC is having a daily high liquidity supply zone. Marico is having a high liquidity daily supply zone. And Tata Steel is having a daily high liquidity supply zone. So we identified 3 daily high liquidity supply zones from this list. Okay, next, for daily time frame, let us find the stocks price closed inside the daily demand zone. And we got 35 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 35 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the daily demand zone. Okay, out of these 35, we can further filter based on daily EMA confluence. Daily demand zones having daily EMA confluence. Let's set that filter. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, I am enabling the filter daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence. And the trend on the daily time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. Let's filter. Now we got 8 stocks. These 8 daily demand zones are having a daily EMA confluence, and also the current price closed inside the daily demand zone. Okay, next, for daily time frame, price closed inside the daily supply zone. Let us filter. We got a big list. 49 stocks are filtered. So first 15 stocks in that list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 49 stocks are filtered where price closed inside the daily supply zone. And we can further filter this list based on the daily EMA confluence. Supply zone having daily EMA confluence. Let's add that filter. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, I am setting the filter daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence, and the trend at daily time frame should not be sideways. It can be up or down. Let's filter. Even then we got 22 stocks. All these 22 stocks are having daily supply zones having daily EMA confluence, and also current price closed inside the daily supply zone. First 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 22 stocks we identified. All these stocks are having supply zones, having daily EMA confluence. Okay, this is about price closed inside the daily supply zone. The next time frame is 125 minutes. Stocks near 125 minutes demand zone. We got 11 stocks. Next 125 minutes time frame. Stocks near 125 minutes supply zone. We got 16 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. So total 16 stocks filtered. Okay, next time frame is 75 minutes. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 75 minutes demand zone. We got 7 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity zones from this list. We don't have any 75 minutes high liquidity demand zones from this list. Okay, next for 75 minutes time frame, let us find the stocks near 75 minutes supply zone. We got 11 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity supply zones from this list. First one is Balakrishna Industries, is a high liquidity zone. Delhi is a high liquidity zone. Delivery. Godrej Properties. JSW Steel. L&T. L&T is having both high liquidity supply zone as well as demand zone. Either side you may get opportunities when you have such kind of zones. And Maruti. So total 6 high liquidity zones identified, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have identified 6 high liquidity 75 minute supply zones from this list. Okay. So this is about 75 minutes time frame and also high liquidity zones. Daily and 75 minutes we completed. So next time frame is 25 minutes. Stocks near 25 minutes demand zone. We have 9 stocks. Next 25 minutes time frame. Stocks near 25 minutes supply zone. We have 12 stocks. Next time frame is 15 minutes. Stocks near 15 minutes demand zone. We got 8 stocks. Let us further filter this list based on the LTF ITF demand zone confluence. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone confluence. I enable the filter. Now 6 stocks. Out of these 6, the 4th one is pierced. It is not useful. The demand zones. We are focusing on demand zones, not supply zones. Okay, next for 15 minutes time frame, stocks near 15 minutes supply zone, we got 9 stocks. Out of these 9, how many are having ITF confluence? Let us verify. In the EMA in the supply zone confluence, 15 minutes supply zone with 75 minutes supply zone confluence. I'm enabling the filter. We don't have any supply zone confluence stocks. Okay, next time frame is 5 minutes. Stocks near 5 minutes demand zone. We got 8 stocks. Out of these 8, how many are having ITF demand zone confluence? Let us verify. That is 5 minutes demand zone with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. We got 5 stocks. That means all these 5 demand zones, they are part of the 15 minutes demand zones. That means they are overlapped with 15 minutes demand zone. That is what zone confluence. Okay, next for 5 minutes time frame, stocks near 5 minutes supply zone, we got 16 stocks. So for first 15 stocks in the list, I'm scrolling the list down. Now let us filter how many of these 16 stocks are having a ITF supply zone confluence. That is 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. I'm enabling the filter. Now we got 5 stocks. Out of these 5, few supply zones are pierced. Second one, fourth one, fifth one. These 3 are not useful, they are pierced. Sorry for my mistake. I looked into a wrong column. Only this is the pierced one. Bata India, that is not useful. Remaining all are okay. Oh, making mistakes. Fine. We have only one pierced zone in this list. Okay, this is about stocks near demand and supply zones for different time frames. Now we will generate NIFTY and BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. Let us start with NIFTY. Generating monthly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. So this is a NIFTY monthly supply demand zone chain. Always look into the zone column to find the high liquidity zones. Look into the pierced column to find the pierced zones. Always look into the LTF trend to find the trend of the current time frame you have selected. Apply these rules for the remaining reports also. Okay, next, generating weekly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. And this is the first demand zone. I am scrolling the list down so that you can find more demand zones. Okay, next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. All these are all supply zones. So let me scroll the list down until you get more demand zones. So here you have the demand zone. Let me keep it in the center so that almost equal will be there. Okay, fine. So this is about 5-minute supply demand zone chain. Remember, 47 is the nearest demand zone, 46 is the nearest, sorry for my mistake. So 46 is the nearest demand zone and 45 is the nearest supply zone to the current price. So this is a Nifty supply demand zone chain. Next, Bank Nifty, that is nothing but Nifty Bank, generating monthly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, weekly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. And here you have the demand zone. Let me scroll the list down so that you get more demand zones. Okay. Next, 5 minutes demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. 5 minutes. So 31st is your demand zone. Let me scroll the list down. So this is about 5 minute supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. So with this we have completed Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. The next set of reports are about bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly, weekly and daily income trades. First let us start with bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Entry time frame daily, entry zone demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame daily, I am selecting bullish. And zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score should be 12. I am not filtering the piercer zones for daily time frame because you already learned piercer zone strategy in lesson 28. Up to daily time frame, the strategy works well. And these two filters are applied to daily demand zones. Let us filter the stocks. Now we got 9 stocks. Out of these 9, we have one pierced zone also for emphasis. So these 9 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Out of these 9, how many are having even more high probability supported zones? Some of these zones are already high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can also further filter based on the zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. That is nothing but daily and weekly demand zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. With this filter from 9 stocks, the list, all 9 stocks are filtered. That means all 9 stocks are having zone confluence with weekly time frame. All these daily zones are part of the weekly zone. And the weekly trend is up in all these stocks. If weekly zone is having weekly EMA confluence, because daily is part of weekly zone. If weekly zone is having weekly EMA confluence, those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. The EMA confluence weekly time frame, because daily is part of weekly. So we are looking for weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence. Moreover, weekly trend is up in all the stocks. Bullish trade setup. We got out of 9, we got 5 stocks. All these 5 are high probability setup demand zones. That's why these zones are already tested. Many of these zones. See, 4 times it is tested. Out of 5, 4 are already gave. Probably earlier reports they might have already given you these trades. Okay, this is about based on LTF and ITF. Next, LTF, ITF and even HTF zone confluence. Let us verify. I am removing EMA filter because it is ITF specific. Now we have to look for HTF specific. So in the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, daily with weekly zone confluence. Next, daily demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. And weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. In these 3 stocks, these daily demand zones are part of the weekly demand zone. Both together again part of the monthly demand zone. Monthly trend is up in first 2 stocks. If any of those first 2 stocks are having monthly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup supported. Third one we can ignore because monthly trend is sideways. So in the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, I am enabling the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence. So none of the stocks are having EMA confluence, monthly EMA confluence. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Entry time frame is daily. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at daily time frame, I am selecting bearish. And these daily supply, for this daily supply zone, zone achievement should be violated opposing zone and minimum odd enhances should be 12. And with these filters applied to daily supply zone, we got 2 stocks. So in these 2 stocks, they are supporting bearish trade setup for monthly income trade, and these entry time frame zones are daily supply zones. Both these daily supply zones are high liquidity daily supply zones. Apart from that, we need to add even some more filters to set the high probability. So first filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. Let us verify if both these zones are having a ITF confluence, the supply zones. So in the supply zone confluence, I should set the filter daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. With this filter, both the stocks are filtered. That means in both these stocks, these daily supply zones are part of the weekly supply zone, and weekly trend is down in both the stocks. Because the daily is part of weekly and weekly supply zone is having weekly EMA confluence, that could be even more high probability trade setup supported stock. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, we got 1 stock. So that means this weekly supply zone is having weekly EMA confluence. That way, this is a high probability trade setup, supported stock, apart from having high liquidity zone. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence stocks. I am removing EMA filter. Earlier without EMA filter we got both the stocks. Now let us verify those stocks are having HTF supply zone confluence. I have to enable 3 filters. First filter is already enabled. Second filter daily supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. Third filter weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. That is what HTF zone confluence with LTF and ITF. Let's filter. So we don't have any LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence supported stocks. Okay, this is about bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Next report is about bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. For weekly income trade, entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 75 minutes time frame, entry time frame, I am selecting bullish. And we need to set 3 filters for 75 minutes demand zone. First filter, 75 minutes demand zone should not be filtered, should not be pierced. So that's why in the pierced count parameter, at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means pierced count should be 0. Pierced count 0 means the zone is not pierced. Next, zone achievement violated opposing zone and minimum odd enhancer score is 12. All 3 filters are applied to 75 minutes demand zone. Let's verify. We got 3 stocks. In all the 3 stocks, these 75 minutes demand zones are supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. And moreover, all the 3 75 minutes demand zones are high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can also further filter these stocks to add more probability based on the zone confluence. So first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. Let us verify how many of these demand zones are having 75 minutes. Demand zones are having daily demand zone confluence. So I am enabling the filter 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. With this filter, out of the 3 stocks, all the 3 stocks are filtered. That means in all the 3 stocks, these 75 minutes demand zones are part of the daily demand zone. And daily trend is up in all the 3 stocks, ITF trend. That's why let us verify if daily demand zone is having daily EMA confluence, because 75 minutes demand zone is part of the daily demand zone. So in the EMA confluence, at daily time frame, I am enabling the filter, daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence. Now out of 2 stocks are filtered. So these 2 stocks are even more high probability trade setup parameters. That's why see Bharti Airtel already tested 4 times and 6 rejections from this zone. Of course, the rejections are also part of testing only. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. So removing EMA filter, it is ITF specific. Now we need to set HTF specific parameters. So in the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is LTF, ITF already enabled. Second filter is 75 minutes demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. HTF is weekly. And also daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got all the 3 stocks. Earlier we have seen both these stocks are all the 3 are having ITF confluence. Now all these 3 are also having HTF confluence. That means all these 75 minutes demand zones are part of the daily demand zone. Both together again part of the weekly demand zone. And weekly trend is up in only Bharti Airtel. If this is having weekly EMA confluence, it is even more high probability trade setup supported stock. This is already having daily demand zone confluence. But verify it is having weekly also. In the EMA Confluence weekly time frame, weekly demand zone having weekly EMA Confluence. This is a HTF Confluence. And the trend should not be sideways on weekly. It can be uptrend because it is bullish trade setup. Let's verify. So this is filtered, even filtered. It is filtered twice. It is having daily EMA Confluence. This is also having weekly EMA Confluence. But 75-minute zone is part of the daily zone and also weekly zone. And moreover, it is a high probability. That's why this is having so many tests. Okay, this is about bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone should be supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 75 minutes time frame, we need to set bearish. Now this 75 minute supply zone, we should set 3 filters. First filter is 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count parameter, at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Second filter, zone achievement should be violated, opposing zone. Third filter, minimum odd enhancer score should be 12. With all the 3 filters on 75 minute supply zone, we got 12 stocks. These 12 stocks are supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. And entry time frame zones are 75 minute supply zones. Out of these 12 75 minute supply zones, some of the supply zones are already high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can add even more probability to those supply zones based on the zone confluence. Let us filter based on zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is 75 minutes and daily supply zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. So with this filter, we got 11 stocks out of 12. So in all these 11 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone. And daily trend is down in all these stocks, ITF trend. Because 75 minute supply zone is part of the daily supply zone, if daily supply zone is having daily EMA confluence, there are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify out of these 11 how many EMA specific supported stocks are available on daily time frame. Why daily? Because 75 minute supply zone is part of the daily supply zone. That's why we are looking for daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence. Moreover, daily trend is a downtrend. We got 7 stocks. So these 7 daily supply 75 minute supply zones are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks, because they are part of the daily supply zone, and that daily supply zone is having daily EMA confluence. Okay, this is about a bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. But here one more filter we can set. We set only daily and 75. That is LTF and ITF. But HTF is also there, right? So let us filter even those stocks. So ITF EMA confluence I have to remove. I removed it. And in the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, that is 75 with the daily supply zone confluence. Second filter is 75 minute supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. Third filter is the daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. With all the LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence filters, we got 3 stocks. In these 3 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are part of the daily supply zone, both together again part of the weekly supply zone. And the weekly trend is down in second and third stock. If any of these 2 stocks are having a weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, at a weekly time frame. Why weekly? Because the 75-minute supply zone together with the daily supply zone are part of the weekly supply zone. That means overlapped with weekly. That's why we are setting weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. But trend should be downtrend. If sideways is there, you can eliminate that stock. Okay, none of the stocks are having weekly EMA confluence. No issues. So this is about bearish trade setup for weekly income trade, because we have good number of stocks, LTF, ITF and with ITF EMA confluence stocks. Okay, next one is a daily income trade. So first, bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 15 minutes time frame, I am selecting bullish. And for this 15 minutes demand zone, we should set 3 filters. First filter is pierced. 15 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So that's why in the pierced count, at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score should be 12. With all the 3 filters applied to the 15 minutes demand zone, we got 10 stocks. These 10 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade, and entry time frame zones are 15 minutes demand zones. All these demand zones are 15 minutes demand zones. Out of these 10 15 minutes demand zones, some are already high liquidity zones. That means they have high probability. Apart from that, we can even add more high probability by setting zone confluence. So first filter is the LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. Let us filter the stocks. So in the demand zone confluence, LTF, ITF is nothing but for daily income trade, 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. With this filter, we got 8 stocks. In these 8 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are part of this 75 minutes demand zone. And 75 minutes is ITF. 75 minutes trend is uptrend. Because 15 minutes zone is part of the 75 minutes zone, and if the 75 minutes demand zone is having daily EMA confluence, there are even more high probability setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting 75 minutes demand zone having daily EMA confluence filter. With this filter, we did not get any stocks. That means none of the 75 minutes demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, even though 15 minutes demand zone is part of the 75 minutes demand zone. Okay, no problem. Next we can look for LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence supported stocks. I am removing the EMA filter. LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled. 15 with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. Second filter, 15 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. Third filter, 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. With all LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence filters, we got 2 stocks. In these 2 stocks, these 2 demand zones, 15 minutes demand zones, are part of the 75 minutes demand zone. Both together again part of the daily demand zone. Now all are part of daily demand zone, and daily is HTF. HTF trend is up in both these stocks. If these daily demand zones, these daily demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, then these 2 15 minutes demand zones are high probability trade setup supported zones. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence filter is enabled, because the 15 minutes demand zone together with 75 minutes demand zone is part of the daily demand zone. That's why we are setting daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence. Both the stocks are filtered. So these 2 are even more high probability trade setup supported demand zones for bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 15 minutes entry time frame, I am selecting bearish. And we need to set 3 filters to this 15 minute supply zone. First filter is 15 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count parameter, at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score should be 12. And all 3 filters are applied to 15 minute supply zone. Now we got 7 stocks. And currently these 7 stocks are supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. The entry time frame zones are 15 minute supply zones. All these supply zones are 15 minute supply zones. Out of these 7 15 minute supply zones, some are already high liquidity zones. But even then, we need to add some more probability to check whether they are having a ITF supply zone is supported. Later on, we will check HTF supply zone confluence also. So in the zone confluence, first filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is 75 minutes, 15 minutes and 75 minutes supply zone confluence. So enable the filter. Now all 7 stocks are filtered. That means in all these 7 stocks, these 15 minute supply zones are part of the 75 minute supply zone. And 75 minutes trend is down, ITF trend is down in all these stocks. Okay, if any of these 75 minute supply zones, because 15 minute supply zone is part of the 75, if any of the 75 minute supply zones are having daily EMA confluence, those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence at 75 minute supply zone, because 15 minute supply zone is overlapped with 75 minute supply zone. That's why we are looking for 75 minute supply zone having daily EMA confluence or not. Let's verify. We got 1 stock. So this is even more high probability trade setup supported supply zone. That's why it is already tested once and reached till this demand zone. That means this zone is even achieved the target. Probably last 1 or 2 days you might have got this stock. Okay, this is about bearish trade setup based on LTF and ITF zone confluence. Next, let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. First, we have to remove this ITF EMA confluence filter. So, in the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled. That is 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence. Second filter is 15 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. Third filter is 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. Out of these 3 supply zones, how many supply zones are having daily EMA confluence? We have to verify. There are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks might be available. But only second stock you need to focus, because in the second stock only the daily trend is a downtrend. So that's why in the EMA confluence at a daily time frame, daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence filter is enabled. In the trend at a daily time frame, I am selecting downtrend because HTF trend should be downtrend for while setting EMA confluence. So we don't have any EMA confluence supported stocks as per HTF zone confluence. So this is about bearish trade setup for daily income trade. In the final report, let us generate stop buffers based on daily ATR. First 17 in this list are indices, remaining all are equity stocks. So I'm scrolling the list down. Whichever the stock you want to refer, there you please pause the video. So this is the end of the report. Hope this information will be useful to you for your further study and analysis. Let's all meet again in our next video. Thank you.